Yep. Any other questions? All right. What you are all waiting for, Logos morphological filters. So I am in Logos right now, and I'm going to make this much more seeable. Just a moment. All right. So the first thing is something you're probably familiar with off to the left here, right? You have a morph search. How many of you did that or something like it for the homework? Right, nice and high. I want to see how many people did. So yeah, for the homework today, how did you identify where the nouns were? Did you just kind of mouse over them one at a time? Okay, so maybe a couple months ago now, I demonstrated what's called a morph search. So if you open up your search tool in the top left there, it's going to be multiple options of either Bible search or all Bible books, fact book, and morph. If you go to morph, if that's empty, make sure you have Greek New Testament, type the @ symbol, and then that's where you have the parts of speech.
What do you mean Greek New Testament?
So in that section right there, just make sure the book that you're filtering, you're doing a morph search on your SBLGNT. Or you could do it on another Greek New Testament if you're using a different Greek New Testament. But SBLGNT is what we've been using for this class, so that's fine. So make sure that's what's selected. Then you're in that search bar, hit @, and then whatever the part of speech is you're looking for the homework. So if your homework is categorize all of the nouns, what would be really helpful is to do morph search, click on nouns, but maybe we're going to get a little bit more narrow and not just nouns, but all nominative nouns. So I select both those things and I have NN, so nominative nouns. That's what the search is going to run. I haven't specified the passage, so it just says all passages. I hit enter, it's going to think for a second, and it just popped up all 7,399 nominative nouns in the Greek New Testament. Anybody not tracking at this point?
Which Bible is it from?
This one is coming from whatever one you select it to be.
Whichever one we have selected as our default.
Correct. Whatever one you have, well, not necessarily as your default. In that top left, you see where that is, the Greek New Testament. If I select that, and then I go down to SBLGNT. So that's what I have selected there. If I changed it to a different text, it might vary a little bit.
That's a little, yeah, it's because.
I know some of you aren't following along, but conceptually, are you tracking what's going on here? Okay. So now if I have over in my Bible off to the left here, it'll highlight those words for me. That is kind of what I expected for you how you approach this homework. If you've done just the nouns, that'll tell you all the nouns that are in John 17, 1 through 5, and I can just see them highlighted.
That feels like cheating.
It does, doesn't it? But we're learning to use the tools. If you think that feels like cheating, go ahead.
I would say in the verse and all passages, how do you, I played with it a little bit, trying to figure out, well, how do I get to that? I could do verse and then John 17, 1.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a way to do like, maybe I didn't figure it out, verse John 17, 1 through 5 all together? How much can you play with those things?
I don't know how much you can play with
I just did a search for John 17:1, and it maintained the morph search. So in other words, now it's highlighting all of them. I think it is. Actually, I'm about to do this. There we go. So I searched for John 17:1 out of all those billions of possible answers, and it brought me to John 17:1 and did the highlighting.
Right. Great.
Was that
But if you scroll up in John 17:1, there's going to be other things highlighted in John 16.
Can you just do John 17, 1 through 5 and everything else?
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
that-
Kind of
no,
what I was
Can
trying
you
to do
search
with
after
it.
that?
You're good. It would be within all passages right there, and you would just narrow it down to whatever you want the specific reference to be.
Can you do
Okay.
that so we can see?
Yeah. John 17, 1 through 5. And then save that. Now it's showing 19 results in 5 verses.
Okay, I guess that's the part I,
Yep, and notice that the way it's aligning right now, it's showing me 5 entries because I have it aligned by passages. If
Oh,
I,
you still only have it as a noun, just straight out noun.
correct, yep.
Okay.
And then if I change it to analysis, it's going to show me all 19 of those entries with all the information related to it that I want it to present,
You
like
don't even have to memorize the little
codes.
codes. You can
Yeah,
just select them.
correct, yep, exactly.
Yes.
So that stuff we've covered. Now to the cool part, all passages. Now what I'm doing right there, I have that. Now I'm going to go to this little dot, top right, search, and I highly recommend all of you do this at the comfort of your own home at some point this week. Click there, and this is very small print, but you can click Save as Visual Filter. So within that, you click Save as Visual Filter, and now it's giving you all morph text in all passages in the Greek New Testament with Logos Greek morphology for morph G equals noun. I'm going to save this as nouns highlighted green. Now I'm going to go to formatting and go green highlight, and now I have that. Close that down, forget about it. I've closed Logos. The year is 2026, and I'm opening my Bible. Oops, that shows what it looks like. Just kidding. Unselect those. And now I go into my SBLGNT. Now within SBLGNT, I have the visual filters is those three little dots in a circle, little three sauces, basically like a sauce platter. Scroll all the way down to that, and you see your visual filters. And now any of those visual filters you've created, you can tick and untick. So now I have that nouns highlighted in green, tick and untick. So I can be looking at John 17, and I can go back down and I can click nouns highlighted in green. So you can do that with pretty much any part of speech, any morphological tag, and you can customize it as specifically as you like. I have a few here. For example, nouns, blue, nominative boxed, accusative underlined. So if I select that, I have all my nouns popping up in blue, boxed if they're in the nominative, underlined if they're in the accusative.
How did you do that?
You can do it multiple things. Oh, because you can do a different format.
Exactly. So within one filter, you can go to, so if I do the nouns highlighted in green, that's one line.
Oh.
I can add another line for as many as I want.
Okay.
Yep. So you can just keep adding in, and I can do at, if I want this visual filter to also do something with adjectives, conjunctions. So you can play around with that to make it what you want it to be.
So you could basically do all the nouns in their case endings in that search setting with different functions, a box or an
Correct.
underline or whatever. Gotcha.
Correct.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes, so it really makes it very efficient to, so, all right, you're going through and you're looking for your nouns, and you can just quickly see your nouns. Also, the way I set up the visual filter, it was for SBL specifically, but if you just have it set up for all Bibles, this will work with your English Bibles also, pulling from the Greek. So if I do a visual filter on my ESV.
You saved it as all Bibles then?
Correct. Yep. I saved it as all Bibles. So now this is the ESV with my verb filters turned on. And my verb filters, the way I've set verb filters up, verbs are green, participles are underlined, and imperatives are on fire. So that's the way I've set up my verb filter. So you can look through however you want to do. There's loads of different highlight options. But this is one of those tools that I wish it worked on your phone. It doesn't. This one doesn't work on your phone. This works on your computer, not your phone. Really handy, both in English and Greek, to get a quick, snappy visual. I don't have to mouse over every single word. I know what I'm looking for. Any questions on that?
The morph search, you're saying, does not work on pads?
The morph search does work on phones and tablets. What doesn't work is the visual filters.
So I won't see green show up?
Correct. You won't see it like do all of this on your tablet.
That seems like a major software improvement.
It seems like a wonderful opportunity for sure. Yeah.
Instead of a subscription.
Right.
Let's fix that.
How do you go and edit existing visual?
Great question. So your visual filters are saved as documents. So if you go into your document, you'll see all your documents. Mine's glitchy because I don't know, too much sermons or something. It's not there yet, but I don't know. If you go into the type on the filter and then sort by visual filter, click that. There we go. So now it's only going to pull up the 8 visual filters that I have. And usually after about 30 seconds, it stops spazzing out and I can click on one of those and edit it.
So you can go in and edit it from there.
Yep. So the type is visual filter, and then you can go in and edit whatever that is, your prepositions filter. You can do everything on one filter and make it really clunky. Like you do your verbs, your nouns, your conjunctions. I personally recommend making multiple smaller filters so you can kind of layer and make it more sensible. Any questions? Feel free to come ask me questions next week as you guys are trying to do this and working through it. But very helpful tool that I I trust will greatly reduce your time spent on homework.
No more
It
messing.
literally says on fire.
Yeah. Yep. So what's really neat is to take a filter.
It literally says on fire.
If you go to, I think a good example of this is Ephesians. So just the visuals here. I'm in English, but I have my verbs highlighted. Going through, I see verbs, chapter 1, lots of green, chapter 2, lots of green, chapter 2, verse 11, remember. Okay, there's an imperative here. Chapter 3, not a single imperative. Chapter 4, not a whole lot. But then all of a sudden, bam, what's going on here? We've just talked about the old life being put off, putting on the new life in Christ, knowing Christ, putting on the new self created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. And that the moment that put off, put on happens, then it's just like imperatives all over the place. Speak the truth, give no opportunity, let the sun not go down on your anger, be angry, do not sin, don't steal, labor. And chapter 5, same way. Chapter 6, multiple related to children and parents. So it's cool to see visuals
I gotta
like
make
that.
that website and show my kids.
So
This is an imperative.
you have to keep in mind the original audience, even when you see imperatives, because you also see other things that are imperatives you shouldn't do in the New Testament. Just keep that in mind. But anyways, hopefully that's a helpful tool.
Yeah.
I'll cut down on homework time. Like mousing over and then losing your cursor.
Mhm.
How big mess. Which one did I get?
Yep. So either the morph search or the visual filters are both ways to get that. So
Did I miss your response to Sue's question about specific ranges?
I didn't have a good answer to it, but you didn't miss my.
It showed up, it doesn't show up in your Bible, but it showed up in the search results, 1 through 5.
Yes.
It just showed 1 through 5 in the search results when you did all that, when you
But
did
if I
like
just
three
wanna,
noun.
just do visuals of a certain passage.
Yeah, so if you do noun and then do a nominative or whatever, and then go to all passages,
Okay.
it's,
Then go to all passages.
I'm getting my morph. My morph isn't working out real well. There we go. So now we have morph, but I'm going to just filter it to.
17, 1 through.
I'll just do John 17.
It shows all of the nouns in that search result, John 17.
If I go. I think with this one, now that this search on the left panel is not showing everything, or is only showing John 17, there's nothing highlighted in yellow in John 16, and there's nothing highlighted in yellow in John 18.
Okay.
So it does narrow it right down. But quite frankly, the way that if you're going to try to analyze every noun in a passage, the step beyond this would be to go in your search here. You're searching just for John 17, top bar is top right, and then hit print or export, and then you can print that as a Excel spreadsheet, and it'll print it. Well, actually, you'd want to do the analysis view of it, and that'll tell you that as much information as you want, you can, and then that'll be able to put that in there. So, any questions? Follow up on that? Clear as mud. Cool. Yeah, very, very helpful tool. Can easily become a crutch. And the warning with that is, if you had one semester of this stuff, you're starting to understand the terminology and what it does, but you got to realize you're putting a massive amount of trust in the software to do this. Because you're like, if you rely on the thing to highlight something, you're relying on the thing to highlight something.
Somebody made a decision somewhere.
Exactly. And there are things that are missed. It's not a perfect software. So just be aware of that and don't be wildly caught off guard if you find an error there. So which is a bummer, but there's a reason we have to keep studying this stuff. So
Does Lotus have